pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the village board meeting of October 25th. Roll call. Capuros.
Here.
Bucession.
Here.
Giannotti.
Here.
Thierry.
Here.
Stacy.
Here.
Kraus.
Here.
You have the minutes for the last meeting in your packet. If there are no changes or adjustments, is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion. There's a motion and a second. Discussion. Roll call. Capuros.
Yes.
Bucession.
Yes.
Giannotti.
Yes.
Thierry.
Yes.
Stacy.
Yes.
Kraus.
Yes.
There's no village clerk report. So does anyone in the audience wish to address the board? This is,
Mr. President, this is Mr. Bob Bell.
Yep.
He's the Midwest Director of the Drug Enforcement Agency. You may have seen him on TV before, the Chicago office, correct, Bob?
If you're unlucky, yes.
Yeah, and he's here to present our chief with an award, so do you guys want to come over here by the flag so the cameras can get you?
Glad we're able to catch Terry by surprise, because that's kind of hard to do. But I think we did. So thank you for letting me barge in for a few minutes. I appreciate it. So yes, I'm Bob Bell, Special Agent in Charge for the Chicago Division of the Drug Enforcement Administration, and worked for many years with your interim chief, Terry Lemon. He of course, served as the chief of police in Lockport for many years and recently retired. And he left before I had a chance to properly thank him for his service and partnership.
I knew I was working.
Before I had a chance to properly say thank you for all the years of service and his partnership with the DEA. So you may know, and I'm glad to see Terry is still finding ways to serve publicly even yet. So you may know that Terry, of course, worked as a local police officer years ago, and then with the Illinois State Police, and in his capacity with the Illinois State Police, he was a narcotics investigator. He was also a supervisor and then a commander of different multi-jurisdictional narcotic drug units. And Terry has served for years with the Illinois Drug Enforcement Officers Association. Also, most recently, served as the president of the Chicago HIDA, the High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area, where I served with him on that board. So suffice it to say, for years has been Terry's served admirably in law enforcement. He's been a tremendous advocate on drug suppression programs, not just enforcement, but also prevention, trying to make sure that communities are safe and youth don't get started down the wrong road. And he's been a tremendous partner to the Drug Enforcement Administration and to me personally. So for that, I would just like to thank Terry and, for his partnership and service.
Thank you very much.
Stay right there. Perfect. Thank you very much.
Bob lives around where I do, so he's got a really long ride home. So
Congratulations.
thanks a lot, Bob. That was real nice. Congratulations.
Thank you, everyone.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming
Have a
out.
great evening.
Yep,
Yes,
thank you
thank
very
you.
much. Okay, under my report, we met with the Fire District and Safe Built regarding the status of 610 Gould Street. We met Friday afternoon, and it was not just that building we met about. We met about the various fire codes and sprinkler requirements. We had Ms. Gerald Keys was our head code administrator. There was a lot of information that was cleared up that we had been unclear about before. And basically, kind of the bottom line is, the building that has been renovated, they said is going to have to be sprinkled. There was a lot of conversation as to whether if you join the two buildings, if sit and bull would have to be. And it's one of those things where they said we're probably going to need a legal opinion because they didn't necessarily agree. Our fire inspector was reading the code like word for word. Keys was looking at an addendum to the code that looked like it was trying to make provisions for different fire separation areas within one building. So they says it would take a legal opinion to determine whether or not the first building had to be sprinkled. But basically, it cleared up a lot of misconceptions. Our attorney had been here earlier for a different meeting, and we were able to talk to him, and, you know, he gave us some parameters as to basically if there's a change of use, it's gonna have to be sprinkled, depending on what they're gonna put in there. He was pretty clear as to the requirements. So the meeting was good. It cleared up a lot of information. We were all able to sit in one room. Now, we have not talked to the residents of that location yet, the business owners, so, you know, we're not quite sure what their intentions are, but at least we were able to meet on our side. Did you wanna add anything into that?
No, I think it was very informative. All the questions that were raised were adequately answered, some more technical than others, and that's one of the problems, is us lay people have a hard time understanding the technical terms, but maybe.
Yeah, there were some times where some things were said, and I literally turned around and said, so what does that mean? You know, I
can't
have no
deny-
idea.
Yeah, we can't deny someone's right to an appeal of a code, but perhaps we should rewrite the ordinance and say appeals should be heard by corporate counsel in administrative hearing, and let the attorney make an interpretation of the code, because it's hard for lay people to do that.
Well, it is, and he basically directed that hearing anyway, because he came up with legal opinions within that hearing that basically kind of determined what direction we have to go, so. All right, anybody have any questions about that?
I do. So, I mean, one of the things, I'll speak for myself, not the board, that I had an issue with is the way we got to the hearing, which Safe Built, the business owner, the fire department saying different things about the same situation. Did that get cleared up? Because I don't think it should have ever got that where they had to come before the board. I mean, the way it's written, yes, the original application they filed, they would have to deny it, and that happened. But at least the information I heard when we had that planning and zoning meeting was no one really knew what was going on, or who's supposed to do what, or who to tell what to, or who to. So did the process get cleaned up where, I mean, and they should be working on, I don't care what they say, they should be working with these business owners to try to help them. This isn't a large town, this is a small town. We like it that way so we can help the businesses that we have here, the ones coming in. And I don't think that happened in that situation.
Well, there's a couple things I brought up at that meeting, and I think as far as our inspector goes, we were able to talk to him a little bit more, and I think sometimes he seems to be coming at everything from a standpoint of, oh, this is the best thing possible for fire safety, and he's throwing all kinds of suggestions out there. And sometimes, if you're a business owner and you hear a suggestion from someone as to the best case scenario for your business, if you're sitting there as a business owner and you're hearing it from a fire inspector, in my mind, if I was in that scenario, I'd be hearing this is what I have to do, as opposed to this would be a good idea if. So there's a little bit of a disconnect there of telling people what you feel is a good idea for the business and what is a requirement. And that was one of the things I said to them. They need to know if this is a requirement or just your suggestion. People can't be left thinking it's a requirement. But the bottom line on that whole thing is, typically this whole thing would start with plan review. You come in for a permit, you come in with your plans, and that's where it starts. And that's kind of where the breakdown in this particular thing happened. You ended up in the middle of this whole thing with requirements that were not met. So, that's about it.
Also, do we get everything cleared up with Safe Built as far as why they weren't here, or the right representation wasn't here?
No.
Not really.
No. No, and that's one of those things, but again, I could go back to the permit process, that's something that should have gone back to the beginning, where Safe Built would have gone over the plans regardless of who was here at the time, so we're kind of in a catch-22 with this one, and even the lawyer said that, we were talking to him ahead of time when we were in a different meeting.
Yeah.
And he kind of came back with, at this point, there's really nothing you can do about this, so.
And the guy was here at our meeting, which just occurred Friday afternoon.
So the guy should have been at the planning and zoning.
Correct.
Okay.
He was involved in this meeting Friday afternoon.
Yes, yeah, and he's the one that even put some information out that the way he's interpreting code, that there are some things at the end of the code that were meant for a particular purpose, but just like everything else in the law, it would require a legal opinion as to whether this
Yeah.
is fact or whether it's something that's just an intent of the law. So that's something where you would have to get, corporate counsel back involved with. But it's kind of after the fact for this particular scenario.
Yeah.
But we were kind of working on down the road, what could come up again, so.
It probably will come up again.
Oh, I'm sure it will.
So down the road, I mean, is this something that the planning and zoning should look at again? Because, you're severely limiting what can go in those buildings now without getting a sprinkler, which is a major expense for a small business. Again, we're not talking about corporations, billion-dollar corporations coming in here that don't, whatever, they're gonna spend what they're gonna spend to do it, they don't care, they have the money. We're talking about people who are opening these to pay their bills, to feed their family. So is that something we need to look at as a board, as a planning and zoning? Because if that's a requirement for sprinklers, nothing's gonna go in down there except for, I think a shop can go in and that's it. But people
Well-
can't renovate more than 50%,
Well, our attorney said that day, he says the thing that triggers it is change of use. So you have to look at the original use of the building, if it's a change of use, that's what's gonna trigger all these codes. Then you get into whether it's 50% or not, or whether there's 50 or less occupancy, or if there's more than 50, and,
so
And it's
there's,
kinda like state law.
so there's
It's
nothing
state
we
law.
can do.
Not really,
If
no.
it was, whatever, a shop and now it's turning into anything different, it has to, by state law, it has to have a sprinkler then?
By the order of state fire marshal, yes. It's the state fire marshal's letter. And if we had that letter before the hearing was set, that probably was, ended right there.
eliminated the hearing, yeah. Yep.
That surfaced after the hearing was posted.
Anybody else? Okay, second item, consider a motion canceling the December 27th village board meeting. Would anyone like a motion to cancel that meeting? There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second, roll call.
Who was the second, Joe or?
The second was Roger.
Who's Joe? Okay.
Pick a name.
Pick a name. Kraus,
Yes.
Stacy, Thierry,
Yes.
Giannotti,
Yes.
Hugh Session,
Yes.
Caperos.
Yes.
Okay, the next one is to possibly move the November 22nd board meeting, which is the fourth Monday of the month, to November 29th, which is the fifth Monday, which would provide an extra week for agenda development, since the administrator will be on vacation from November 15th to the 19th. If we keep it on the 22nd, it'll be a light agenda, which is also okay. You guys want to move it to the 29th? Is everybody available? Do you have any preferences? All right, would someone like to make a motion to move it to November 29th?
Make a motion.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor, there's a second.
I'll second
All right, there's a motion and a second, roll call.
Caperos,
Yes.
Hugh Session,
Yes.
Giannotti,
Yes.
Thierry,
Yes.
Stacy,
Yes.
Kraus.
Yes.
And we can go into executive session later to discuss ongoing litigation.
And everybody can stay.
Yes. Okay, finance and administration, trustee reports.
The village received census population certification from the Illinois Secretary of State. The certification is enclosed and means that we should begin to receive our per capita revenue allocations beginning February for November, since the state is typically on a 90-day lag. However, it may begin as early as next month, so we'll see 354 new residents will add $125 per capita in income, $40.15 in use tax, or $58,534 in general revenue, and $23 per capita in new MFT allocations. And then audit report, Bob?
Yeah, we have our final status report meeting on Thursday. My goal is to get them here on the 29th, which is another reason to move that meeting back a week. That's the targeted date for that.
And that concludes my report.
All right, public buildings and properties, parks and recreation, trustee Terry.
Got nothing to report.
There is one thing, and Matt, you wanna bring,
Can we
it
do
just
that-
came up today.
Are we gonna do that in old news or old business?
You can do it here under your report, that's fine.
On the splash pad, the installation of the, I call it the foam it sounds like
rubber matting.
The top part, that's gonna lay on top of the concrete. They need 2 or 3 consecutive days, where it's over 55 degrees. And, so since we're moving into the colder weather, I decided to do it, what did you say, maybe April next
Yeah,
year?
April, May. Otherwise, the second option was to put a tent up and heat it with propane, kerosene, whatever, for those 3 to 5 days, whatever they need to do it. I didn't feel comfortable with it, just in case something were to go down with the heater in the middle of the night, no one would know it, then they'd have to start over. I made the decision to postpone it until April or May. I think it's just the best, best decision for right now anyway, so. I'd hate to rush into something like that and force it when, so, that's where we're at. I don't think it's gonna hold up the actual opening. I think we were shooting for like around Memorial Day for opening the splash pad, so I think we're still on target for that. It's just gonna slow up construction, the construction portion of it, so.
And that's,
All right, planning, building, and zoning, trustee Stacy?
Yes, Mayor, the October meeting was canceled due to lack of agenda. The next meeting scheduled is Thursday, November 18th, and a variance for a fence in the front yard setback will be considered in the Prairie Crossing subdivision. And that's all I have.
Okay. Public Safety Committee, trustee Kraus?
Thank you. Item number 1, full-time officer status, we do not have anything with that. Part-time officer status, backgrounds are being conducted on the candidates, and Chief, I think one's done, correct?
Yep.
And the other one, sort of, are you still doing that one?
Yeah, we'll be done shortly.
Okay. Anybody have any questions about that? Update for the EMA and police department plans for Halloween, Chief?
So we're gonna have, Bob will have 2 EMA cars out, we'll have an extra squad car out. Myself and, trustee Thierry will be in 1 car, in the haunted squad car. So, we're going to have our faces professionally made up by a makeup artist, so.
I like to wear a mask.
Well, you are stopping by my house.
And we have 3 boxes of Tootsie Roll candy donated, so more than enough for all the cars.
Awesome. Yeah. And then, results of the Laraway Communication Board of Directors meeting last week. Bob?
Yes, the dispatch centers, they would like to go from 12-hour to 8-hour shifts. They think it will work better for them. But they have to collectively bargain that, so that's something that they want to do. They're looking at possibly separating from the county and creating their own entity with their own labor pool, because right now the county's labor agreement is killing them. But there's a lot of legal ramifications to doing that, so it's gonna be a long-term event to try to do that. And that's about it. They are running very positive on fund balance. That was discussed at length, and hopefully when we get to the budget next year, the budget for 22 is already set, when we get to 23, hopefully we'll get a reduction in fees. So that's it for Laraway.
And then a reminder for the women's self-defense class, it's November 3rd, 2021 from 6:30 to 8. We're at the Beecher Community Building. The information is on our villageofbeecher.org on our website, and there's a waiver online too that needs to be turned to the police department. Okay. So they get the waiver online and drop it off to the police department, and there's a max of 25, so.
We have 11 people, 8 people signed up the first day, so we have a lot of right now.
I got 5 more for you, so.
Well, one of them there. And I made a mistake, Bob said, we have 4 EMA cars out, so 4 EMA and 3 police cars, so it's more than enough coverage for the city.
Excellent.
And that's all I have, Mayor.
Okay. Public Works Committee, trustee Giannotti?
The Gould Street water main update,
We officially applied for a variance to the, what they call minority and female-owned business requirements that we have to meet on the contract. The village and the contractor has submitted a request for a variance on that based on the fact we can't get contractors. That went to the Fairness and Equity Committee, and they will make a ruling by November 15th, I think is what. If they rule in our favor, we can award the bid and move on. If they deny our request for a variance, then we'll have to rebid the project.
So I wanna correct one thing you said. you said requirements that we cannot meet.
It's
This
the
is
contract.
not, this is not any requirements that we cannot meet. These are requirements that the contractor, who was the low apparent bidder, qualified bidder, says they cannot meet. Nothing to do with the village not meeting them. Just wanted to make that clear.
Correct. That's why I still don't understand why we had to sign a cover letter for
That's because they're the low apparent bidder.
Okay. The Penfield STP reconstruction project update. Easements are being acquired and final permits are being obtained to get the project to a January 21st bid letting date. This project began in 2013 when the village borrowed $150,000 for 5 years to complete the phase 1 environmentals on this project. We are now 8 years in and getting very close to the finish line.
I mean, this has been harder to get through than the sewer plants, this Penfield job, but, the good news is, it looks like they're gonna give us another $327,000 in federal money, to meet the engineer's estimate of probable costs. We do have to come up with 20%. I forwarded to the finance committee for its review, a proposal on how to finance that, and I will bring that to the village board once they sign off on that memo. So, November 8th, it didn't change much from the last time in June when we discussed it. The numbers changed a little bit, but the whole method, the procedure I want to follow hasn't. We do have to approve that, because once we open bids and award a bid, we gotta pay ADOT now within 30 days of awarding a bid, so I wanna make sure we got a plan in place to make our payment, which is gonna be about $750,000. So I'll wait for the finance committee to sign off on the memo. Once they do, we'll bring it to you guys first.
Sidewalk and curb replacement program updates, Superintendent Connor?
Both of those projects have been completed. I received both invoices today from Perino. We do have asphalt work to follow up behind them, which comes in a couple of motions here to approve that, so both those projects are complete.
Okay. And then, leaf collection program update.
We were planning on starting today as a quick roundup. With the weather, we obviously held off on that. There's not a lot of leaves down, so I think we're gonna get hit hard with it once they all do come down, but we'll take it one day at a time. My plan this week was to do it Monday, Wednesday, Friday, just to see where we were, but I honestly think on Friday we could go out and make it through the whole town at this rate, so we're ready to roll though. We got both boxes on the trucks, both machines ready to go, so just waiting for the
Isn't it
leaves to
years
fall.
ago we would start on Columbus Day weekend picking up leaves, and now it seems like it's pushed back further.
Later and later, yeah. Yeah.
Sewer Department monthly report is enclosed for review. And then, as Matt alluded to, we have to consider a motion approving a proposal for patching of streets before winter. Quality Paving, has a bid in the amount of $7,906. 4 proposals were received. Patch, 4 locations disturbed, since the last patching program. The lowest proposal came in from Quality. It is recommended this proposal be approved. Please see the enclosed proposals. So I would like to make a motion approving the proposal for the patching of the streets before winter.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second, discussion?
I got something real quick. I have a lot of patches to add to this. We've had 5 or 6 breaks since I went out to bid for this project. So, and of course they're always in the asphalt, so I'm gonna add those on to the lowest bidder while he's here. I did tell the bidding companies that there were gonna be add-ons, hoping that their prices would come down with quantity, but as you can see, some were relatively close to one another, and there's a couple that were way out in left field, so.
The Quality Paving bid is a good.
Oh yeah, they did all of our railroad work for us. They
Yeah.
did the patch on Woodward South for us a couple of years ago. They've done work for us quite a bit. Local company, they're based out of somewhere up north, but he's a local resident here in town, so, yeah, they've always done good work for us.
Good company.
Yeah.
do we need to add this, like not to exceed, or?
No, cause I don't know the exact square footages and whatnot of
Just add on.
what they are, it's just gonna be an add-on on.
I would say not to exceed 25,000, because we
Yeah,
can't
I
go over
mean,
25,000.
it won't be that,
Yeah.
it definitely won't be that. My guess is that it'll probably be double this, it'll probably be somewhere in the 10 to 15,000 range total. But just wanted to make you guys aware, so when the bill comes through next month, you're not like, what the heck, that's not what we approved, so.
So do you suggest we change it to?
Should I amend my motion?
And not to exceed.
Not to exceed 25, we wouldn't go over 25, it'll come back in.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'll amend my motion then to consider a motion approving a proposal for the patching of the streets before winter not to exceed 25,000
Yeah,
Quality paving.
from two quality paving.
Amend your second?
Yes.
Good. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Kraus,
Yes.
Stacy,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Giannotti,
Yes.
Musician,
Yes.
Caperos,
Yes.
Will that be all?
That is the end of mine.
Okay. Economic Development Community Relations Committee, trustee session.
Thank you. Newsletter mailed last week, so advertisers were also given their 40% rebate as was discussed. There was sufficient funding to print and mail this newsletter, but in the spring, we will have to sell more ads or raise the rates to keep this a break-even program. This will be worked on over the winter. That concludes my report.
All right. Any old business to come before the board? Any new business to come before the board?
If anyone is interested, the boys' high school soccer team will be at Stagg High School. Stagg tomorrow at 5 PM for super sectionals. I think this is the furthest they've ever made it.
Yeah, they've made it this far, one other time in school history, and
Yeah.
did not get past it, so.
So if anyone's interested.
They win, they go to state, Final
Yep.
Four.
What are the chances, Ted?
Good,
After the last game, they got over their mental hump
yeah,
with the rivals that was in the paper.
yeah,
May not to be said. I think they have a really good shot of winning tomorrow.
yeah.
They do. They're hungry for it.
Then where do they go, to Springfield?
I think
or-
they go down to Peoria.
Peoria, yeah, for the Final Four, yeah, for state championship.
Is it Elite Eight or Final Four? if you remember?
They're Elite Eight right now, they win, they're in the Final Four, downstate.
So
Hmm.
hopefully next meeting I will
Not be.
say congratulations to the state winners.
Yeah,
That's right, they play over the weekend though, right? If they win Tuesday,
They
they go
win
down.
Tuesday, they play
It's like
Saturday.
Friday would be, semifinals, and then the championship and, third and fourth place game is on Saturday then.
It's an exciting time, because I had kids that played soccer, and they never made it out of a region, so.
Yeah.
This is fantastic.
This team is something else,
They're on a heater.
yeah.
On a good run.
Nice.
That's it.
All righty. Can we have a motion to adjourn into executive session to discuss ongoing litigation?
I'll make a motion to adjourn to to move into executive session, discuss pending litigation.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Roll call.
Kraus,
Yes.
Stacy,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Giannotti,
Yes.
Musician,
Yes.
Caperos,
Yes.